Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 503, and this week we're doing a Twipple Dip. I'm Doxzu, and with me is Darfox8.
Hello, it's me, the Dark Fox 8.
And Morgana Santilli.
Hi there.
Morgana is back. Seamus is not here. He is busy with work and was not able to read the manga this week. I mean, he wouldn't lie to us, right? Like, he didn't go to another wrestling show or something, right?
He's like, these guys are sick of my shit. I better make up an excuse that sounds more legit.
I mean, he wanted to read More Innocent and DRCL,
Yeah.
so it makes sense that he did not lie. He is actually legitimately busy. He just could not, end up doing the episode this week. So I believe in Seamus.
They're pretty hefty books.
Especially Innocent and the
Yes.
triple volume omnibus. We'll see if Darfox actually read it later.
It will be a mystery. You'll be surprised.
Well, yeah, Morgana, you are back.
I have returned.
I was it's funny, you and Seamus were out last week and it was just me and Dar. But we kind of puffed off. We had a good time, just the two of us.
Yeah, and it was a random episode where we had a lot of chatting in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Some bestie time, some BFF time.
a little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Today's
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Today is National Best Friend Day, by the way.
Oh my!
Oh,
Manga Mac Secret Best Friend Podcast.
that's
yes.
right.
I heard a new best friend right there.
Yep, guesty bestie over here.
We read a bunch of. Well, we read 5 books, right? We talked about 5 books. And
yeah, but then I made you read a 6th book on the spot. No, we talked about 6. I made you read a 7th.
Yeah. So Dakazu asked me which is the one I think he likes the most, and I guess they're right.
He did.
So
Nice. I have to listen to that. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm looking forward to that.
I did eliminate one because after we talked about one, I was gonna have Darfox guess at the end, and then after we talked about one, I was like, I didn't like this. I was like, oh wait a minute, we should probably have Darfox guess before we talk about everything. And I share my opinion.
Yeah, it turns out if we hash it out on a podcast, I know exactly how you feel about something.
But you got it anyway, so it's all good. Everybody, we are recording this podcast live on our YouTube, youtube.com/MangaMacTV. If you missed last week's episode, you should definitely check it out. We were talking about Darfox's hair. His hair was down. It was not up in a ponytail.
Ooh.
Chris said, do you have a bald spot?
And we got
a discussion about a possible scar area. Yeah, there's lots of things, visual things to see. Oh! Darfox is on cam right now, and I see something in the background.
Yes, what's this?
Yeah, I posted I think I posted about a Discord server. I might have forgotten, but I finally. So I have a bunch of random collector's edition stuff just from games I've bought over and gifts and stuff, and I just have it in my closet because I have a really small room. I can't display stuff, so I finally bought one of those IKEA display cases, which is pretty affordable. It was like $80 or something. It was really annoying to build because build quality is really weird and wonky. But I get to display my Death Stranding big baby over there. I also have a baby Morgana.
Nice.
This one I get to just put on a display case and not have to take care of it. But
yeah, this one's getting ready to learn how to walk. So
oh boy.
And down here, you can see this one is actually my gift level. I'll describe it for people listening. I have Gunpla of Azaku, who's very excited, lifting his hand. That was gifted by a friend of the podcast, Cross Hunter, or Cross-X Hunter. And then there is a Toons, a U2s, which is kind of like a Funko Pop.
Or influencers, yeah.
Yeah, computer of Chainsaw Man. And also being covered by this, I'll show you in a second, because I can open this up.
Oh man, I'm waiting for the delay.
I got a
Faye
Faye Valentine.
Yeah. Oh, Faye.
Yeah, this is the only model statue I have, and it's
Hey, girl.
It's a gift from Amber.
Wait. Oh, okay. I was about to say, did you buy that?
No, but I mean it's cool. I mean she's all cheeked up.
I would not judge you.
I judge.
I would not.
So
Faye's a babe.
It's definitely a horny statue. because like
I've seen worse.
No, yeah, there's definitely a lot worse, but like there's detail underneath the shorts. I don't know if you can tell. Like
don't put that up to camera.
It's just cheeks. It's okay. So, but it's cool, and I just have it right here for everybody to come in and know who I am.
Well, if anyone wants to see those fake cheeks, I guess they gotta check out this recording over on youtube.com/MangaMacTV.
That's right. And then the level right below, which you can't see, I actually have Butcher Run the manga because I don't have it filled out yet. So I just put the manga that Dogzu gifted me from Japan.
Japanese volumes, yeah.
And also the womb sample that's autographed. Yes. Which I do want to display. If I could find a way to display like halfway open, that would be neat.
Ooh. They have, although it would break the spine, they have like these stands for like reading. Sorry, he's trying to escape my lap. If I let him go, he's just gonna bolt. They have these like book stands that you can hold a book completely open, but I feel like if you displayed it like that, it would like break the book. I wouldn't want to do that.
Maybe because
it's kind of a flimsy book.
It's kind of a flimsy book, but because it's flimsy, it might actually, if you open it up big, I don't think you're really breaking a lot of binding. But yeah, it's also it provides a little bit more visual pizzazz to the live stream, because before it was just windows and walls for me. But now I have some extra lights in the background, so it's not just dark behind me. Those lights, by the way,
Your closet isn't open and filled with your junk. You actually have your hat hanging up there.
Yeah, I plan on putting on posters over there eventually, and I have other weird light things that I want to do.
You're gonna be with the poster man. Okay, Morgana, what type of poster should he put up? Let's talk about this.
Ooh.
Well, I actually have. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, he's disappearing.
I think Trigun is like the easy answer, right?
It's funny. I was at my mom's house briefly over the course of my being away, and in her basement's a bunch of my old stuff, a bunch of my old artwork. But also kind of mixed into this is a bunch of my old posters and things I had on my wall as like a teenager.
You have some anime wall scrolls.
Oh yeah. Well, so I have a Vincent Valentine wall scroll from Advent Children.
Nice.
Love it. But I also had just some like posters. I had like a Sailor Moon poster and a Gundam Wing poster, and just like stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, I should rescue these at some point. They're like, rolled up and kind of squashed.
I am not a poster person.
I am not now. I would like to hang framed art. I have a few things in my office here, but I'm really bad about like I collect a whole bunch of prints and things. But I'm really bad about like framing them and putting them on my walls. So,
okie dokie, I'm back.
I love
putting
buying
back
art.
My camera.
I have to actually like stop myself from going through artist alleys now because I'll try to buy things and then I won't have anywhere to put them.
All right, I'm back. Camera coming back on.
Okay.
All right. So I just bought this one. This is just kind of like a cheap one at a comic book store.
You muted yourself, I think.
We're waiting for the delay too a little bit. Oh, here we go.
Oh, Mob Psycho 100. Very nice. Very, very nice.
It's pretty big. Sorry, I think I took my finger off the push stock. Now, this one is really rolled up, so I have to like struggle to open it. This one is more special. It's like limited edition, and I was able to buy it online. It took a long time for it to arrive.
Okay, he cut out again. So I don't know what that's about.
I think he's getting the other poster.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the delay from the live stream. Oh,
I've seen that. The Japanese Twin Peaks poster.
That's really cool. That's beautiful.
Yeah, Fire Walk With Me. That movie was really popular in Japan for some reason.
It doesn't surprise me.
Japan ahead of the game because that movie was not popular here, but now people like it.
Japanese just have more esoteric tastes, perhaps.
Perhaps
it's a weird movie. But yeah, this is an artist called Sean Eismore or Eyestone. I forget the exact name, but I know of him because he does some covers for the Kung Fu movies that are getting released on Blu-ray nowadays. But he just does like general movie posters, kind of like that old aesthetic of painted like really pretty movie posters. And like they look great. I love his whole deal. And this is one. This was originally like a limited print, only available at a con. But then they reprinted without like because they had like a fancy limited edition numbering, but they took the numbering out and they just did one more print for you to buy online, and I was able to catch it. So I got it. So these are my 2 posters. I have a couple more. I don't have that much wall space, so. But I'm thinking this Twin Peaks one might be over my left shoulder, over there, and maybe the Mob Psycho. Mob Psycho one's really big. It's a really big.
Yeah, that looks huge.
Yeah, so that one might be over my following this wall on my right, all the way down to the door, next to the door.
I've got a couple prints by an artist named Jane Mai. Actually, are these Jane Mai? I think so. They're Yu Yu Hakusho fan art on my wall right above my computer. And I framed a whole bunch of like posters from work. Like I've got a Summer Hikaru Died poster and an Oshinoko poster and a Tales of the Kingdom poster, and I love them and I framed them and I have not hung them up yet. But they're gonna go in my office at some point.
Obi asking where the fight stick. Hold on, I got you, Obi.
Oh boy. Lightning bolt in the chat. Asking about the fighting stick.
Here's my Quamba drone. Dusty, because I haven't played Street Fighter 6 in a long time.
You see that news that they're adding Fatal Fury characters to the new season?
Yes. And a random aside, because I like to say random asides about like South American like nerd culture. Terry Bogard is huge in South America. I don't know why SNK, but like it's huge in South America. And I have firsthand experience where like when I would go to Chile, we would rent like I don't know what SNK game it was, but we'd play Terry, and it was.
Was it King of Fighters or was it Fatal Fury?
I think it might have been Fatal Fury, but I don't know.
Was it 3-on-3 or was it 1-on-1?
Was it 1-on-1?
It's Fatal Fury.
Okay. Are all SNKs 3-on-3?
No, the King of Fighters is specifically 3-on-3.
Oh, King of. Okay, yeah. It was definitely 1-on-1 because I don't remember picking that many characters. Since I'm doing so much show and tell, this is the receptacle for the Wendy's saucy nuggets. They're just selling now.
What?
They're just dipping your nuggets in sauce.
Why are you showing that on screen?
Because it was right next to me.
Fucking used like plastic container that still has sauce inside.
I chose the spicy honey barbecue because I didn't want something too spicy because I'm not doing well with spice lately. But I may have like weird sensory issues because I never like getting my hands super like dirty, so I use chopsticks to eat them, which is like very high class.
Looks like you've got like a grocery store sushi situation going on with the black plastic.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. These are like reusable chopsticks that I bought at the Asian market a little while ago. But I'm sure you can find these in other places.
Reusable chopsticks are the way to go.
Yeah, they're very nice, and they even have like grippies to help newbies such as I.
I like those kind. I have some of those too.
They're pretty too. Pretty.
Yeah, get yourself a Manga Mac bump. Or was it what did we call that thing where we were recommending stuff?
I think it was a bump, yeah.
Yeah, the Manga Mac bump of this week is we're bringing it back. Buy reusable chopsticks.
I think I say sauce nuggets. Saucy nuggets.
Saying that. Okay, enough side ramble. Darfox. Oh crap! I forgot to ask you to update the coffee page.
Yeah, I totally forgot as well. So,
but yeah, I was gonna ask if people want to support our podcast, head over to ko-fi.com/mangaback. You can buy us a coffee so we can buy our manga. Our splash page needs to be updated. Our goal for the Land of the Lustrous retrospective has been met. And now we are currently just asking for some money so we can keep buying the manga for this year. Darfox is using a napkin as a bib, and I'm very distracted.
Let's eat.
But yeah, once again, buy us a coffee if you want to support us. Thank you. Jesus.
The live stream is really an experience, folks.
It really is. People really need to go to youtube.com/MangaMacTV at least once to look at this madness. All right, let's move along. I actually want to start with some news because there was some newsworthy stuff that I think is worth talking about. I want to talk about the announcement of the 2024 American Manga Awards that will be happening at Anime NYC.
Yes.
Now, the Western awards that are given to manga, it's on our fuck this Hall of Fame. They're bad for the most part because they always go to the same people, Junji Ito. Now, Junji Ito is amazing, but every year he just gets that award at the Eisners or I forget at the Harveys. They did Chainsaw Man 2 years in a row. It's like pick somebody different.
I have to say though, the Eisners this year actually look pretty diverse in terms of what kinds of manga are being nominated and what categories they're in.
I did not see them this year, Morgana. Is there a Junji Ito book?
There is, but there are a bunch of yen books, which is very exciting.
I'm sorry, but the Junji Ito is going to win.
I know. The Summer Hikaru Died and Horizon are both up for Best Material Asia, as well as DRCL, Midnight Children. And a Junji Ito book. I don't remember.
The Junji Ito book is going to win. I'm
sorry. But I have to say, it's like a really impressive group. It's not I don't think there's a big hot Shonen Jump title on that list, for example.
But it doesn't matter.
No, I know. You're right. You're right. But I will also say being nominated at all is kind of I feels like a step in the right direction. And I'm just excited. We have other things. One of our Toilet Bound Hanako-kun box set is one of the best design nominees, best package design, which is cool. So, and Moku Mokuren of Summer Hikaru Died is also up for best writer, which is really exciting. Yes, yeah. So we're breaking out of just the manga category, right?
Right. I don't see them winning.
No, but
it's gonna be Tom King again. For
yeah,
sake.
Jesus. But I'm gonna take it as a positive sign anyway. There are a couple people on the committee this year who are very manga literate, so I will say that.
It wouldn't surprise me, by the way, and I'm not based off anything, just my opinions. It wouldn't surprise me if the groaning about Junji Ito has reached ears and it hasn't become a meme even among people who aren't the manga sphere.
I will say, two people who are on the committee this year are Jillian Rudess. She is a librarian in the New York public school system, and she runs an organization called Manga in Libraries, and she is extraordinarily knowledgeable about manga and readership, especially young people, and their interest in manga. And another one of the committee members is Matthias Lewis, who owns a comic shop, and I can't remember where. Matthias, I'm sorry. But he also is very manga knowledgeable. So there are people in the industry, this panel right now, judges who are, know what they're talking about. Are they going, and again, the community votes on it. There's a bunch of different, people voting, but at the very least, the books that kind of deserve to be talked about are more and more getting into these nominations.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too shocking to me if something besides Ito won. Odds are probably still on Ito if you're a betting person, but
I'll be pleasantly surprised if it actually happens.
Yeah.
But getting back to the American Manga Awards that are having at Anime NYC, they're being presented by Left Field Media, and the ceremony and reception is hosted by Matt Alt. And let's see. Yeah. We have 8 categories. Mangaka Hall of Fame. That's cool. Manga Publishing Hall of Fame. Is that just gonna go to Kodansha? Or Shueisha? I can't see.
I
like...
don't know. Well, it's American manga industry, right?
Oh, American. So like Viz then.
So everything. So from what I understand, from what I've seen on Blue Sky, and Deb, who was who was instrumental, Deb Aoki was instrumental in putting this together, and Zach Davison too, I think, among others. From what I understand, this is all North American manga industry. These awards, yes.
I mean, but Mangaka Hall of Fame has to be a Japanese person, so.
Well, it's going to be a Japanese person, but it will be for a book that is available in English or available in North America. Those are the criteria. Minovsky is one of the judges, I believe.
Yes,
it's really interesting. Good group of people involved. It's very exciting.
I mean, these categories are great. We have best new manga, and then best continuing manga series, and best new edition of classic manga. So that's already like a great way to separate like the manga into those categories. And there's best translation and best lettering. And that's fucking awesome. Because manga letterers don't get shit at like comic awards, and they should.
Right, I know. And there are letterer awards for the Eisners and colorist awards.
And it always goes to that guy who does fucking Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah. And God bless him, but like, come on.
Yeah. What do you think best publication design is? Like American cover? Like you were talking about Toilet Bound Hanako-kun?
So that Toilet Bound Hanako-kun award is actually for our box set. So publication design, I think, is going to mean the packaging of like a special edition, for example. Like the one that we have up for the Eisners is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun First Stall, which is it's the first 10 volumes of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun in a box that looks like a toilet stall. It's very cute. So I think the Akira box set was up for this a few years ago. I think it won, actually. So my guess is that this is a similar like, what is the design treatment of a special edition or something like that box set.
Yeah, like everything for these American Manga Awards sounds good. So I hope it's gonna deliver. Like we're gonna see things that will actually be representative of good manga choices, not just like popular shit or the same people, like in the Eisners and the Harveys. So fingers crossed. We'll find out in August.
I mean, judging by who has put it together, I think I trust that it will be. I mean, I'm sure there will be popular things there, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will only be popular things. Hopefully it's not just the same things over and over again. Yeah.
All right. I have another news item, which I don't think Darfox and Morgana know about.
Uh-oh.
Shueisha launched Jump Tune.
I did know this, actually.
Oh, you heard about this?
Yes. I get a lot of newsletters at work from various places, so...
There's a vertical scrolling comic done by Jump Shill manga artist himself, Takeshi Sakurai, who did The Right Way to Make Jump. I'm joking when I say that. God bless him. He got hired to do a job, and he does a very nice job. But he does promotional work for Jump. I just sent a link to Morgana and Darfox for this comic. And it's vertical scrolling and kind of explaining what this is, who are the people involved, what is the appeal of vertical scrolling comics. And basically what they say is the best thing about vertical scrolling comics is it's easy to read because you don't have to know how to navigate panels when you look at comics. Which sounds crazy to me. I mean, I think that's easy. But I guess, for new people, it's not as clear. Whereas in vertical scrolling comics, you just scroll down and, you read what's next. It doesn't surprise me that Shueisha is getting into the manhwa or the, webtoon game because it's very popular already. I just the thing that isn't explained here is how are the manga artists who are attempting these vertical comics being compensated? Because that's like the one thing about vertical comics is you can add color and stuff like that, but because of that, like unless they're really popular, like something like Solo Leveling, super popular manhwa that has a actual volume release from Yen, right, Morgana, in English?
Yeah, technically from Eyes Press, but yes. Well, the first half is from Yen Press, the second half is from Eyes Press, but yes, that's us.
Okay. But like just making that and like redoing it, like it's in Japan where it's like they don't publish manga in color, like barely ever. I think that's changing a little bit because they're redoing like One Piece in color. But, that obviously costs a lot more to buy as well.
If I'm not mistaken, and please don't quote me on this, I could be wrong. I believe that our editions of Solo Leveling, print editions, are based on the Japanese versions.
I think I heard that too. So
yeah,
I think you're right.
I think they are. I'm always fascinated by how you go from vertical scroll to horizontal page layout.
They have to like re-put the panels.
Yeah,
and, like, it's a whole process. It's a job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so we at Yen we actually have some of our traditional manga stuff, like I think Bungo Stray Dogs, for example, available as vertical scroll through. I think we have just Bookwalker right now has them, and it's really interesting that a lot of people seem to be going to this vertical. Like this news from Shueisha, yeah, it doesn't come as a surprise, but it's also kind of like I wonder, and maybe it's because I don't prefer vertical scrolling myself. I just wonder if this is like worthwhile. Like, is it the format that people like, or is it just because the stories that people like are on Webtoon? You know what I mean? Like,
it's the format thing. It's because people are looking at comics on their phone, and you just scroll on your phone. So it's definitely a format thing. Smartphones are established like device that everybody has basically. So they're getting into that market. But as I was saying, with like the actual manga artists who have to make these comics, like manga artists make the majority of their money through like residuals from printed volumes. They get paid for putting, for their manuscript that they turn in, but it's the major money that they make is from selling volumes when they get printed. It's not royalties, everybody. They don't make royalties. The publisher says, we're going to print 1 million copies of One Piece. It's probably more than that. But like, that's just an example. The publisher says, we're going to print 1 million copies of One Piece. And so this chunk of money gets paid to the manga artist. This is also the problem where, the top 1% of manga artists make a huge fuck ton of money. And then everybody, the 99%, everyone else doesn't make that much money. So it's already not like a sustainable like career. And then you're taking away that like the avenue of money by doing like vertical comics. I hope they're getting paid a lot more.
I have to assume that because it's an online medium, the scrolling, that there's some sort of payment by views metric.
By view count?
Yeah. In the same way how YouTube works.
I would hope so.
Or if they get a certain amount of views, then maybe how YouTube actually works is that if you get a certain amount of views, then you're allowed to kind of apply for a different program where you have ad revenue and shit like that. I have to imagine they're seeing a completely different model because, like you said, the old model doesn't work in this, like, without anything printed.
I mean, on the Manga Plus app right now, you can watch an ad after reading a chapter, and they're like, if you watch an ad, this money will go directly to the manga artists to support them.
Yeah, I heard about that too, and it's like not a permanent thing. It's like for a month they're doing this promotion, which is weird. Just keep the ads. I don't.
It is weird, but I also find it weird when they push the onus of paying their artists onto like the audience. So it's like I understand the realities of it. You need funding to keep this going, right? There are realities of it. It's not kumbaya, idealist world. but aesthetically, it does bother me. In the same way how, like, tipping waiters and shit like that. Like, I'm not anti-tip. I always tip, but it does piss me off that they did not pay a fair wage to begin with.
Yep. Oh yeah, and like, just run ads. Just run ads and don't say anything. Like it.
Yeah.
I assume that it's paying the artist when you run ads, or paying for the upkeep of the site. Like, I don't. You just. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not a great look. Like, for this 1 month, you can choose to pay the person who's creating your entertainment, and if you skip it, it's on you, buddy.
I mean, I think they get paid for the view because there is a like visual ad, but you just like swipe past it, right? But it counts as being read.
At that point, I mean, should they just add fucking tip jars like a Twitch stream to like
well,
a
it's
manga?
because Manga Plus, at least, they have their subscription model. They have a 2-tier subscription model. Technically 3 if you include the free one. So like, they're doing the subscription, and they're saying like, I guess this is like an open option for the free users, being like, oh, if you really enjoy this, you can opt into, you read this for free, and then you can also like, you're doing a service to the manga artist that provided you this thing. So it's better than not doing it.
Sure. I just feel like just run the ads and keep your mouth shut and just keep the ads permanent. It's just such a weird. The campaign is weird.
It's a better system than the coin system, and I'm glad that Shueisha is sticking to a subscription model. Did you guys hear about Manga Planet?
No.
Mm-mm.
They changed the coin model.
Oh Lord.
And they've been putting out like some kind of like niche manga for like the past year. Like, they've been doing a good job. But they used to be subscription model, and now they're changing to coin. And I haven't looked into it. I don't know if you get like a set allotment of coins every day or whatever. But like, it's going to be limited compared to having free access after paying a subscription. So I saw people were not happy about that. And don't blame them.
Manga Planet is in retrograde.
Yeah. Good joke.
I learned what that was recently. I didn't know Mercury being a retrograde, and then
I swear you brought this up on the podcast before.
Did I?
I think
Yes,
so.
that you just learned this.
Yeah.
So did you just learn it again?
No, I mean, I learned it like
He just learned it 6 months ago.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
like probably 4 months ago. If it happens in the last 5 years, it just happened. That's the speed in which we're living right now.
Well, that's like how 5 years ago was always high school. Somehow,
Yeah.
even though I've been out of high school for
Yeah, a minute.
15 years.
All right, so like ending on this Jump Tune thing, they've been doing a promotion over on their Shonen Jump Plus. That's the Japanese original version of Manga Plus. And they've been putting out like, hey, here's a little bit of like these new series that you can read in vertical scrolling. And I checked a few of them out. But like you, Morgana, I dislike vertical comic format. So I was just like, okay, so these are just like, there's an isekai one, there's a fantasy one, there's a romance one, and it's in the vertical format, and I would prefer to read my comics in like panel page layout.
Yeah, I'm an old lady stuck to my codex, my book with 2 pages.
We've crossed the line, and we're on like the side with Naoki Urasawa saying,
Right.
Like, you should honor the fucking page layout.
Yep.
That's us.
No, I mean, hey, if people are reading and enjoying the books and the vertical scroll works for them, that's, more power to them. It's just
Absolutely.
I don't know that I would want to read manga that way. I have read some webtoons in vertical scroll, and I always stop reading webtoons, and I don't know if it's because of the vertical scroll or because of who I am as a person, but
the content is different.
Yeah.
Reading webtoons, like it does. Like, oh, this is a webtoon. When like when you're reading it,
I do think too, and this is like my relationship with reading things digitally, I think, is I will, with webtoons things, I'll like get one, look at one and be like, okay, I'll read a little bit, and I just like read a huge chunk and then forget about it after that. Like it just goes away. I'll read like 50 volumes worth of material and then just, okay, I'm done.
Like binge.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I read like a lot of Solo Leveling in its original like manhwa vertical format, and I would always like they would rotate the action like to the side, so like you're scrolling and it's like going past the panels, and I was like, this looks just so much better to me in like a 2-page spread or something.
You mean they would rotate it like 90 degrees?
Yes,
that's funny.
Yeah. So I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they launched this across the world, but right now is Japan only. There are vertical manga on Manga Plus. Darfox had to read a couple of them. Remember the racing one that you hated?
Vaguely.
Dracam or something like that?
Yeah, it was about the one on Motorsports, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I also read some actual webtoons for this podcast. I don't know if you remember, but you weren't here.
It was Halloween. Amber. You were by yourself, yeah.
Yeah, I did with Amber. Some actual factual webtoons. And I kind of liked some of them, especially the really trashy ones. When they're really weird and trashy is actually, like, kind of fun.
You know what I think, thinking about the format of vertical scroll versus horizontal, I think my stance is I think it's the media is probably the best in whatever format it was initially intended for. You know what I mean? Like if it was made to be vertical scroll, that is probably the best way to consume it. If it was made to be horizontal, that is probably the best way to consume it.
Yeah.
Now, there are ways to change it so you can adapt it to other formats. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think probably the most authentic experience of the media is going to be however it was intended to be made initially.
If people want to check out a vertical scrolling manga that's available in the West, on Manga Plus there's a manga called The Vertical World. And Darfox, do you remember it was like a kid in a tower?
Yes.
That one was very good. It used the vertical format very well. So I recommend people checking that out. The art is a little simple, but like it was good. I really enjoyed that one.
Was that the same manga that did like the Dark World one?
No, you're thinking about the Red Cat Ramen person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're different people.
Separate human beings.
Separate human beings. But yeah, that's the news. New manga award show and Jump Tunes. I thought they were worth discussing. So
and now you know the rest of the story.
I mean, we're not a news podcast, so we decided like only to bring up stuff that we want to. So I wanted to,
and it was good.
Yep. Okay, now let's get to some what you've been reading. Morgana, did you read anything while you were off?
Oh, you guys, no, because I was like, okay, I always overpack, right? I always pack too many books and I never read them all. So this time I was like, I'm only going to bring a few books. Okay, I brought 3 manga, and I was like, 3 manga seems reasonable. They're quick to read, but I don't have a ton of time. We were visiting my mother-in-law, hanging out with the kids. I thought maybe during the drive I would have some time to read. Maybe I'd have some downtime, but I wouldn't have a lot. I got to none of them. I did not read a single one, and I'm sad about it. But that's how it is. It was like something I really wanted to read too. It's like the 3rd volume of Summer Hikaru died. It's the 2nd volume of Lord Hades and his ruthless marriage. Like
I've read 5 volumes of The Summer Hikaru Died. It's very good.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to reading volume 3 here. I've been putting it off, and it's like I have it. I should do it, and I didn't do it, guys.
It's getting an anime.
I know. I am excited and also terrified as the person who does inventory management for the manga and has to help call reprints.
I don't know though, because the manga is so good and well detailed with the art. I question whether they'll be able to recreate any of that for an anime.
Yeah, I'm concerned it'll be like a lot of the Junji Ito adaptations.
That's like worst case scenario.
Yes, yeah, I did not enjoy any of those. So and it wasn't the content itself, or even it was just the visuals that were really hard to get past. There's something about black and white for a lot of these stories. There's something about the texture of the ink, or I don't. Summer Hikaru Died might be digital, but there is a lot of texture there anyway.
We're still waiting on that Uzumaki anime, I think. Right?
Yes, that one did look promising.
Which that one is actually
that happened during COVID, and so who knows what the state of that is.
So yeah, I definitely have some concerns. I'm excited in kind of a general sense. I'm excited that it's a book that is already a really great seller. Again, I'm a little bit scared as the person who has to look at the inventory.
All right then. What about you, Dar?
I'm blanking, but it feels like I did read or watch something recently.
I can't help you with that.
Yeah, are you sure though? Like, did we watch something together?
No, I've been busy and we haven't talked.
You sure about that?
What did we watch?
I don't know. I feel like
we haven't watched anything.
Yeah, we have. We really haven't.
I've been busy this past couple weeks.
Yeah. Me 3. No, I guess not. If I remember in the dead of night, I'll scream it out in bed.
Oh, you know what I did do though? Really quickly want to shout this out. While I was visiting my mother-in-law, she lives in Maryland, pretty close to the DC area. So we went into DC and I visited my friend's comic shop, Phantom Comics, in DC, DuPont Circle. If you're in that area, I recommend going. They're kind of up some rickety stairs in an older building, but it's a cool place. My friend Jake is a great guy and it's a cool shop. And I bought that Glacier Bay book we read a while ago, the Mermaid story. Okay. The one that Dakazu hated and that I loved.
Yes.
They had it. They carry some indie manga and other cool indie comics.
One.
Yeah, the one about dreams. So I bought a physical edition of that. I was very excited. And a few other things, but some Spider-Man comics for my daughter, who's deep in her Spider-Man phase right now.
Nice.
Oh no. Lots of Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, that's a good movie
that's
to watch.
That's fine. So. Yeah, she's been watching a lot of that Spidey and His Amazing Friends, which is like a
Is
preschooler.
it a kid? Oh yes. Boy.
Yeah, it's a preschooler cartoon. It's not great.
That was the weird one where they named Miles something different.
Spin,
yeah, because they kind of have multiple characters called Spider-Man because it break a kid's brains. So they just renamed Miles. It was really weird.
It's weird. I mean, Peter is Spidey, Miles is Spin, and Gwen is Ghost Spider, which is her name in the in the comics. She was Ghost Spider. Sometimes she was Spider Woman, I think.
What? I thought it was Spider Gwen.
No, Spider Gwen is the name of the comic, but her like superhero name. I mean, if she went around Spider Gwen, people would know she was Gwen Stacy, right?
Yeah, it's not like it's Super Clark.
Right, yeah. So Ghost Spider is the hero's name. I think Miles had another Spider-Man name. The Kid Spider or something. He had another name, but anyway, they call him Spin, which I don't like. I don't like that he's the one who had to be not Spider-Man.
Yes.
But that's a whole other conversation. I mean, I like Spider-Man. I like Peter Parker. He's fine. But like I was telling my husband, like I'm bored with Peter Parker, not because I don't think he's a good character or anything, but like I grew up with Peter Parker, Spider-Man. I understand that character. I'm over it. I'm ready to learn more about Miles and Gwen. They're much more interesting. They're new, Yeah. So, and I love the Spider-Verse movies a lot. The nice thing is that the Spidey also has like some other characters. Like Ms. Marvel was in an episode my daughter was watching this morning. So she gets kind of a general idea, and but yeah, she's really into Spider-Man, and like Spider-Man, not Gwen, like not the girl character. She likes Spider-Man. She wants to be Spider-Man for Halloween. She has Spider-Man t-shirts and PJs, and yeah, it's fun. She also still has her like weird interests that are a little bit less like, I feel like Spider-Man's very mainstream for a certain, this age is mostly boys, but Sev's into it too. And I think she has other female friends who like Spider-Man as well because of this Spidey show. But yeah, they use a female Doc Ock in Spidey, but she has like books about Spider-Man with like original male Doc Ock, and she gets really confused. Like, wait, is this Doc Ock a boy? I thought Doc Ock was a girl. Like,
interesting.
Like, yeah, comics don't get less confusing from here, especially not Marvel. Anyway.
Oh man, what's gonna happen when Sav grows up to be like a American superhero comic? Like that's her like comic of choice.
That's possible. I'm not super worried because my dad was a Marvel Comics guy, and I grew up with like X-Men. That was my like thing. But I got Sailor Moon pretty quick, and then like a whole bunch of other anime came soon after, and it's not like Severina's not going to be exposed to that. I mean, she's into the Ghibli movies already. So I don't think it's going to be, only capes.
Friends. It was X-Men 97. That's what I watched.
Okay. I haven't seen the newer stuff, so don't spoil me.
Oh, wait.
I'm not caught up either.
How far are y'all?
I saw the sad episode with my wife, and we had to take a break.
The sad episode with Gambit?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we saw 1 or 2 episodes beyond that, and we're not caught up after that.
Okay, I finished the season. I assume they're doing more. They'd be stupid not to do more, because it's a pretty strong show. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, y'all should finish it. It's there's some good stuff.
We've been watching more Dungeon Meshi too. Delicious in Dungeon. That's been good.
Yep, I'm catching up on that.
We have one that we need to watch. I wasn't expecting so much like story from Delicious in Dungeon. I was literally expecting like a monster of the week and we eat it kind of.
Well, I mean that's
thing.
The beginning.
Yes,
right?
and that's what I find appealing about. I mean, it's fun. Like I actually don't mind the storyline itself, the real story. Usually, when a fun monster of the week gets like too deep in the weeds, I'm like, whatever, and I bounce off of it. But this is actually interesting, and I like the characters. So I love the cat girl.
Yes, she's new. Oh, we have a question from Chris that I missed. Do you all ever find it hard to start a new series to read because you just can't figure out what to read?
All the time.
I don't know about this because I've been doing this podcast for so long. I mean, I also just used to read whatever that's in the magazine, and so if a new series pops out, I'll at least skim through it or check it out. Now I know what to avoid. If it's like something like okay, I've seen this before, I don't really care. Another romance, another like generic battle stuff. Something used to catch my eye, whether it's art or something else. So, and I already have like, Dar knows this. I still have like a ton of stuff on my to read or to check out list. So, I never am, I'm never in a place where it's like I don't know what to read. It's more like I have stuff to read, and it's like maybe I don't feel like reading that right now.
Yeah, I always have my list of books that I want to read is enormous, but it's more a matter of like I feel paralyzed by too many choices and can't figure out what is the one that I want to do right now.
Yeah, like your mood is like I don't really want to read this sad thing. It's starting at like late at night. It's gonna be hard to sleep. I need something like lighthearted or something.
For me,
Like,
it's like
go
I'm always behind on podcast manga anyways. So if I need to read anything, I need to read podcast manga.
ahead.
So that's my problem.
I mean, also the first thing I do when I wake up is I literally like take my phone and I start reading like today's new manga on my Japanese manga apps.
That's dedication, friends.
That's literally the first thing I do when like my doggy is like licking my hand and be like, "Get up and like take me out and feed me."
When manga
I just roll over and ignore her and start reading some manga first.
Can't get up and pee until I read the latest issue.
I used to be like, I get up, I go to the bathroom first, but now I don't even do that. It's just like, let me look at a manga chapter first. Here's the new Chainsaw Man.
Oh boy, we're not talking about that, by the way. Chainsaw Man talked today, but we're not talking about the newest chapter.
We will not.
Yeah, I haven't read it. Obviously, it sounds like something crazy must have happened.
Yes. It kind of broke the internet for obvious reasons.
I know nothing about it. I know zero except that people are losing their minds.
It's gonna be great if you actually manage to stay like unspoiled. We will talk about it like in a couple months, I guess.
We'll see. Really quickly, I want to mention a manga series that I checked out. I had heard about this. Like, it's kind of like... Okay, so the title is Keibuho Daimajin. And it translates to Inspector Daimajin. Daimajin is this police officer inspector's nickname. His real name is Daima Jin. And Daima Jin is like... A Majin is basically like a genie, like a djinn from like what's it called, the Aladdin and
yeah, like a genie.
It's wait, Aladdin's from a book. I'm blanking on the book.
1001
Nights or something like that.
Nights,
Yeah. Let me send Darfox and Morgana some sample pages. And you'll see right from the cover, this cop looks like he's fucking evil. And it's a story where, like, in the first chapter, this cop, Daima Jin, murders an old man in a hotel and tries to set it up as, like, a perfect crime. Like, he actually goes to the crime scene a little after because he's been called to be the inspector on the man he just murdered. And it seems like he's gonna get away with this. We don't know anything about this man. He's a cop who just murdered some old man. But a special investigator shows up. A superintendent for that division of investigation. And he knows that Daima Jin killed this old man. And blackmails Daima Jin into helping him. Turns out this old man was a serial child killer.
Christ.
That no one knew about.
Bunch of great characters.
Who is the creator?
So it's written by Richard Wu, and the art is done by Koji Kono.
Okay, the art looks a lot like Makoto Kobayashi, who did What's Michael? And I was like, I was gonna be like, I don't really see this as being his kind of story.
So apparently this is based on... This duo did a manga series called Kurokochi, which is also about like a cop who kind of does like dirty things and isn't afraid to get, bend the rules to like get the job done. And that was a tale about the dirty cop being paired up with a new rookie cop who was, all idealistic and, bad cop, good cop kind of story. This series, Inspector Daimajin, takes place in the same universe. And in this, Daimajin and now his, like, basically handler, the person who has the inspector who has him by the balls, they team up and they are looking into all these unsolved police cases and they realize there's a secret organization known as the 44 that have infiltrated the Japanese government and police forces since the end of World War II. That are secretly manipulating like Japanese history and events. Kind of like the like it's a conspiracy theory. I forget the name of the American equivalent.
Illuminati's.
Yes, something like that. And it like, so it's a crime mystery, right? And it's pretty good. But my favorite part about this is this main character, Daiba Jin. What he does is he keeps like the 44 like organization sends assassins and like all these people after them. And he is able to outsmart and outwit them. And then he blackmails them to joining his side. And this happens over and over. Like, first there's like a corrupt cop that like he catches and like he blackmails him to like, oh, give me dirt. And that moves him up to like an inspector, and then he gets the inspector by the balls and gets incriminating stuff on him. Now he's working for him as well. It's just a constant like thing of him always fucking somebody over and like, now you're on my side. Now we move up the ladder. And it's just very entertaining to read. So it's a fun like series for an adult to read. Apparently it was popular enough. It got like a live action drama adaptation last year, I think. So I'd heard about it before, but yeah. It runs in Manga Goraku, which is like a really niche like manga magazine for like guys. It's filled of like Yakuza manga. That's the magazine where Drip Drip that Paru Itagaki did. The one about the woman who like spurts blood out of her nose. That's the series. That's the magazine where she did that series.
That's funny. Crooked Cops, Yakuza, and Drip Drip.
Yep. But yeah, it's still ongoing, and I've caught up now, and it's entertaining. I like it a lot. That was a pretty interesting series. I don't know if it's good enough to get like a Western release, but it's definitely worth reading. You pulling up the pages of like him like choking out the old man.
Yep.
It's a really interesting way to start like a manga, being like, here's this cop that looks like he's bad news, and he's immediately doing something sketchy and doing murder. But you find out it's because this old man's like a serial child killer that like has ties to the, he used to be like a police, commissioner or something. So like Daimajin Yu, like if I get him through like lawful means, this guy's gonna get away scot-free. He must be taken out. So yeah, he chooses to murder him. No one's good in this series, Starfox. Everyone's a bad guy. But you get to see this bad cop taking out further bad people.
My daughter would have trouble with this one. She constantly needs to know who's the bad guy and who's the good guy in all the media she consumes right now. It's getting difficult because kids' media is getting more sophisticated. We watched Brave last night, the Pixar film, and she kept asking who the bad guy was, and I'm like, well, there's not really like a bad guy. Like, there's a big bear and he's scary, but he's like not really a bad guy. It's like
it's just a bear.
Yeah. I also would have trouble with this manga, but I have difficulty with stories where I hate every single person, so.
Yeah.
I want to check out the previous series. Kurokoichi. I'll like maybe report back on that next week or something. Take a look. But there you go. Let's go ahead and end what you've been reading. And before we get to our main segment, let's talk about next week. So Morgana, you found this website, Japanese Film Festival Online 2024.
Yes, somebody shared it on Blue Sky, which is where I am these days, and mentioned a couple of the movies that were available, and among them were like BL Metamorphosis and My Broken Mariko, and I was like, wait, I want to see these things.
Yeah. So next week. Oh shit! I just realized at the top of this episode I should have been like, "Happy Pride," and this is technically Pride in Panels because we're in June.
Soft launch.
It's a soft launch of Pride in Panels because. Well, I guess I could argue like the Chainsaw Man we read has like some elements.
Chainsaw Man is a hard sell.
I think Chainsaw Man is the least gay of the books we read this week for sure.
Yeah.
I can get there. I'll try and get there in the next segment. But yeah, for Pride in Panels, we're gonna do a manga in motion, and we're gonna watch the BL Metamorphosis movie. So I'm excited for this. I've been wanting to see it, and now we have a place to watch it. We're kind of arguing about whether to do that or My Broken Mariko because I want to see that too. And yeah, we don't know how long this is up for, so hopefully you are a current listener of this manga and like you can check out Japanese Film Festival Online 2024 and maybe watch these movies as well. They're free to watch as long as you like make an account. But they're Morgan, you said they're on a rotation.
I think so. So from what I could tell, it looks like the festival itself is like a month long, like June to July. But it also looks like at the top of the list of movies, it's like here's what's available from like June. I don't know what it was, 7th to 18th or whatever.
It's June 4th to June 18th.
Okay, so it looks like these are only available for a couple weeks, and then I'm guessing they're rotating them since the festival itself goes longer than that. So we'll find out.
We will find out. Next week, BL Metamorphosis, the live action adaptation. Stay tuned for that. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it will be Twipple Dip time. Okay, we are back, and it's time for a twipple dip. I did not say triple wrong. It's twipple dip. We are reading manga that we are continuing, that we read for a triple dip. And for this twipple dip, we have 2 manga from Shinichi Sakamoto, Innocent and #DRCL. We also have the chapters for the next volume of Chainsaw Man, which would be volume 17. And those chapters were 144 to 153. It's a shame Seamus missed out because I know he enjoyed both Innocent and DRCL. But yeah, Morgana, you are here. Darfox did all the picking last week, so I'm just going to let you pick the order. What shall we talk about first?
Okay, I think we should talk about Chainsaw Man first, because I think the other two we should talk about close to each other since it's both Shinichi Sakamoto.
All right. So Chainsaw Man Volume 17. What happened last chapter is that Denji decided to go to the Chainsaw Man church because the sword devil guy was like, you can get laid. So he goes there, and then, like, what happened? There was Barnum, is that the guy who was, like, the second in command of the Chainsaw Man Church, Darfox? I'm so bad with names.
I don't know his name, though. Some suspenders guys? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not exactly sure what his power is, but it's clearly he is also, like, a possible weapon. Things go crazy in this volume 17. The Chainsaw Man Church tries to start a fucking armed revolt. Like, all these fucking high schoolers are given AK-47s. But, yeah, we see them taken out by a public safety devil. I guess the Nail Devil? Is that who it is? And Morgana, this character, it's a effeminate guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pride?
Working hard.
That's the best I can do. That's really the best.
Doesn't he, like, kill a kid?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want that kind of representation, guys.
It's all I can do here. Just a lot of shit goes down. Like, people start turning into Chainsaw Man because all the people connected to the Chainsaw Man Church were, like, made a contract with the Fire Devil. And it's kind of confusing. Like, why is the Fire Devil turning people into Chainsaw Mans or turning people into, like, who they want to be? There's just some loosey-goosey stuff. And, like, Morgana, last time we talked about Chainsaw Man, we were, like, warning you. Oh, there's a dip. Watch out for the dip.
Well, that's really interesting. I had forgotten about it. But as I was reading this, I'm like, oh, am I getting bored of Chainsaw Man? I think... Yeah, I think kind of in general I'm still interested in it, but this volume's worth of chapters didn't, like, really do anything for me. Except that it was cool to see Denji turn into Chainsaw Man again.
Finally at the end.
And to see Pochita again, and to kind of have that, like, I did like the, you've achieved your dream, so, like, now what? Like, now what do you want? And he's like, fuck it, I want to be Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
I think that was very important, that realization. I think that's very, necessary. But in general, I'm a little confused. I kept getting confused because there's Naita, and then there's the public service woman who was supposed to be keeping track of Denji. She sang the sex fuck rock song at the karaoke place.
Yeah,
and they kept just showing. I kept getting them confused for each other. I don't know if their hairstyles, like, similar. It was. Yeah, so I was having a hard time. I was getting a little confused about that. And I feel like the art was not as great as it has been.
The art has taken a dip at this point.
Okay, so I'm glad I'm not crazy. This, because I was like, man, am I just, like, was I really into Chainsaw Man for a while, and now I'm just like, maybe it's not for me, actually? Am I getting tired of it because it's 17 volumes in? But I think this just was not the strongest of what we've read.
That was also the public reaction to these chapters.
Okay, I feel better then about my reaction.
Yes.
I have faith that it will it will come back since it seems like people are still reading it.
It comes back, but my biggest criticism of these chapters is that the art did dip. I have on screen an example of the art dipping, which is the last page in chapter 45 when
Morgana's favorite hot octopus guy.
Yeah, octopus guy. What's his name?
I know.
I forget.
We all don't know names.
He's cutting off Asa's arm, and I can see what he was going for because he's behind her, and he's like past the swing, and Asa's arm is like in midair, but like this didn't come together. This doesn't look like dynamic, like these kind of set piece pages normally look like, and more looks like fan art and like that level of like, and that sounds super like hyperbolic to just call like Tachi Fujimoto's art like fan art, but like that's just the best way I could describe as like the framing of the scene. Like it doesn't have that dynamism that I think he was going for, and I can only imagine it's because he was rushed and he couldn't just go back and redraw this in a way that was like better or more good standards.
I think there are rumors going around that he had lost some assistants around this time, but I don't. They haven't been substantiated or proven or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, this scene with Asa and my octopus friend, the whole interaction confused. There was a lot of this volume's worth of chapters. There were a lot of scenes where I was like, I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Like we're switching from scene to scene, and there's action happening, and I can't always tell who's involved in the action. Or there was a scene too with like Denji. He turned into Chainsaw Man, and he's fighting with another chainsaw person, I think, or the sword guy, or I don't really remember. And there was a scene of them like rushing at each other, and I couldn't really tell where Denji's limbs were, and like it was just, yeah, there was some rough bits this time around.
I think the most damning thing for me in these chapters was in Chainsaw Man Part 1, when you finally get to like the plot bombs, it's actually like pretty like, oh shit, that's what's going on. Like, oh shit, this is happening now. That's interesting. Weird concepts. Oh, the control devil, the idea of Chainsaw Man eating concepts like the nuclear bomb, like that's weird. That's crazy. And then like it all hit and it was all intriguing. But here, when it's giving us the plot bombs where like they reveal that the main villain is the Death Devil, and they're trying to accelerate the birth of the Death Devil by making Chainsaw Man and the War Devil really strong so they can defeat the Death Devil. It doesn't hit, and it does like it. I liked it better when Asa and Denji were like in the aquarium being goofballs. Right? It's like
which luckily it will move on past this, Morgan, to give us something similar to that in future chapters.
Yeah. So like Chainsaw Man Part 1, it always felt kind of like the same story. It was just ebbing and flowing between a sinister Makima and Denji being kind of like a dumb fuck, but you had sympathy for him because he was essentially like an abused child who doesn't have any education, right? It also felt like the same story. Here, it feels very disconnected, in my opinion. The whole Chainsaw Man Church and Asa and Denji's relationship, it feels almost like two different mangas, and they haven't been able to intertwine them as well as I think they were wanting to intertwine them. And I think that's my big criticism of it. I still think it's like pretty good and pretty interesting, and I still want to see what these characters are doing. And luckily, like the chapters right after this do pick up and become funner and goofier. But yeah, like reading this, I couldn't help but feel like Tatsumi Fujimoto was just felt like that. I wish I could just redo those like set of chapters. Like let's start over. Like we didn't really like pull it off like we wanted to pull it off.
Yeah. This just honestly, this part reads to me like Tatsuki Fujimoto wanted to do the part in Devilman, where humanity turns against like our heroes, quote heroes, because they're they have their devil powers, and then it turns into a big fucking riot.
And the mob violence against Nayuta is not that different from like mob violence against whatever the girl's name was in Devilman.
Yes. But yeah, like, think back to when in the first part they had to fight with the Darkness Devil, and how fucking cool that was. Like they're taken to the dimension with all the doors, the astronauts that are split apart and like half buried.
Yeah,
that shit's amazing.
I'm also feeling like the devil designs we're seeing are not as interesting to me as they were in part 1. Maybe there were a couple early on in the second part, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of like, here's a character with a weapon for a head.
Yeah, and we're also seeing a lot of recycling, which we see recycling from the beginning of part 2, but we haven't got like the fresh set of new devils like I kind of expected. But they've reused a lot of devils, like the Infinity Devil and stuff like that, and like all these weapon devils and
or popular characters like Quan Chi. And like she just redid what she did before. You know, it was just more Quan Chi being Quan Chi, slicing people up.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that too, because like I don't mind Tatsuya Fujimoto bringing her back, but everything that was interesting about her is gone.
We already saw it,
and it strangely feels like fan service, like you'd get in like in a Mario movie where you see this character for 5 seconds, right? And that's not what I would have expected from him. I would have expected him to like subvert it or make it weird or make Quan Chi show up and then like do something stupid and then disappear just to piss people off or something. Like I don't know. It feels either a misstep or maybe he's just going through the motions, like he's bored of this right now, and he's just like putting shit on pages to like. Although I mean, Douglas and I know where the current new chapters are, and those do feel they have like a, they have more of that Tatsuya Fujimoto being kind of like a troll or kind of like, you know how Chainsaw Man Part 1 had like the scene where like, the eye patch girl barfed in Denji's mouth and stuff like that, like stuff that's like really out of pocket. It's like, what the fuck am I reading? Like, why like why would they draw that? That's gross. Like, it captures more of that energy in the future. So like, I really don't know how to explain why these chapters feel that bad. But overall, it's still a good book, and I would like, to Morgana, who has enjoyed Chainsaw Man in the past and is generally interested in the characters, I would say, yeah, like we should definitely keep reading it, because almost immediately after this stuff, you get some of that good Chainsaw Man Part 2 shit. You get some good Asa shit, like almost immediately after what we're reading. But this set of volume, like this set of chapters was really interesting. How it's the dip. It's the dip.
It's like a plot dip too. Like, and things are happening, but it's like a lack of the art or like presentation that doesn't really fully sell it. You could have generic rote plot things happening, but if you drew it in an interesting way, we probably wouldn't be complaining.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like we're spinning our wheels trying to wait for the next thing to happen.
Yes.
This
is the part where last year I talked to my brother in Chicago and he was like, I think I'm done with Chainsaw Man. It's like right here. Sorry, go ahead, Dark.
No, I actually don't know what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's, I feel like if Seamus was here, he would have been like, I think I would stop reading here.
I think he has read beyond this, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's stuck around. And there are some interesting things, like when Asa transforms. Okay, there's some not explained things. Like, how did... Wait, okay, I think I'm figuring it out. When Asa's attacked by Octopus Boy, she sprouts a new arm that she was missing. And she blocks, like, a blade with her bare hand. And I guess that's supposed to represent that, the War Devil is getting stronger. Oh, right, because they make the sword out of the room without even touching it. And the War Devil is like, we made a weapon without even touching it. Our power is increasing. So, okay, I just answered my own question. What I was going to say is during that chapter, you see her holding this, like, sword that's made out of her room. And there are some pretty interesting, like, creative choices in that sword. Like, part of, like, the hilt is, like, you can tell it's, like, the exhaust fan
Yeah.
in her apartment. Like, some details like that. There's, like, a plant part. That, like, she had, like, a plant or something. So that stuff's kind of cool.
I appreciate that, but that was another image where it was a little bit difficult to parse visually at first.
Because all the octopus slices in the back where it's like hard to see, yeah.
It took me a minute to, like, for my eyes to kind of find everything.
This is a good example of good chaser man shit. Nayuta being like bratty, possessive.
Mm-hmm.
But like she's okay with Denji liking Asa as long as Denji likes her more. Like that's really funny to me.
I'm flipping through that chapter and it's almost all dialogue. Which is dialogue that needs to happen, but it's just yeah. I mean, we already told you, Morgana, like, this is the dip and it gets better afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that it's not just me, and I'm glad that it's it's temporary.
Mm-hmm.
I just I think about Chainsaw Man Part 2, and I think about like when it started, and even not just when it started, but like, you know, a few volumes into it, and how much I liked it, and how much it felt like Tatsuya Fujimoto really was just he hit his stride, where like it's almost like Part 1 was just preparing for Part 2. The way Asa was introduced, and the duality with her and the War Devil, and then when they reintroduced Denji, and the contrast between Denji and Asa, and then the goofy dating stuff, the goofy stuff with Denji, like just wanting to reveal himself as Chainsaw Man for the notoriety, and the Justice Devil reading his mind, and just seeing how like petty his motivations are, like all that stuff, was so good. It almost didn't need like a conspiracy plot behind it, and almost like the conspiracy plot is like it's almost ruining it.
Yeah. Remember, last volume we had She Touched My Wiener, and that was pretty fucking good.
Oh boy.
God bless. Denji is like, he's such a dumb kid.
Yep.
And you know what it is too, I think, something I've been having trouble with, although we have more of it now, is there kind of was a lack of Denji for a while. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I like Asa, but I think a lot of the really weird shit kind of only happens to Denji. He's like a weird shit magnet.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point. But now it's just like bad stuff happening to Denji, so it's not necessarily, it's like more dramatic stuff. Like he has to fight off humans.
It's also interesting to think about what Tatsuya Fujimoto has held back, because if we talk about the concept of like fan service and stuff, we haven't seen Kishibe. Kishibe seemingly has abandoned Denji to raise Naruto on his own, even though Denji's clearly like a kid who's not equipped to raise a child.
Oh, Kishibe. Oh yeah, right. The eye patch guy. Right.
Yeah. The guy was all scarred up, and we haven't seen Kobeni, which is like a fan favorite as far as the memes go. And that's like logical. Like I feel like Kobeni would have like literally left the country the moment she could. But like you have to wonder, like they're going to bring those characters back, and I'm wondering why they decided to bring like, you know, Katana Man back, and like, and all these other characters, and not those.
And then hardly do anything with the ones they brought back too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm looking at the very first chapter of Part 2 with Asa and the fucking chicken devil.
Oh yeah, that was pretty weird.
My name's Bucky. I'm excited to befriend you all. Like, this shit is fucking genius. This is so good.
It was just a few chapters ago, wasn't it? Where Asa was like doing the poetry.
Yes,
the Chainsaw Man poetry.
She wrote the Chainsaw Man love song. It's fucking good. Yeah. Yeah, you can't, like you said, Dar, you can't help but feel like Tatsuki Fujimoto was burned out, or Morgana, what did you say? He was spinning his wheels or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
it's the dip. It's the dip, everybody. But to get out of the dip, you gotta keep going.
You gotta keep digging down.
You gotta keep going. And we're saying that this does get out of the dip. Morgana, you would still keep reading with us?
Yeah. Yes. I was put off, but not enough that I want to stop. I kind of want to see how we redeem this.
I'm glad, like, in the same way how you said that, like, I'm glad you weren't the only one. I'm glad we weren't the only ones, because like it was really noticeable. And there's people online who talk shit about this as well, but I feel like they mostly just talk shit about part 2 in general. And they don't like part 2, and I really liked part 2 overall.
Yeah. Part 2 has had some amazing moments.
The internet has deemed Asa a femcel, which I found really funny.
Oh god.
I had not thought about that.
The internet can be dumb sometimes. Most of the
sometimes.
time. Sometimes. I said it, then I was immediately like, wait a minute. But yeah, you know, Darfox and I are still Chainsaw Man stans. And yeah, I'm still, especially after the last chapter, hoo-wee!
Pull the collar.
Yep, so yeah, I'm just glad to hear that. I want to hear Seamus' thoughts. I think he got past the dip himself when we talked about this last time, but we'll see.
Did y'all see the trailer for Look Back?
No.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
I wonder, because that's a film, right?
Yeah, that's a movie.
How much? Like, is there enough material for a whole film? I guess it could be 90 minutes, but like,
it's a 90-minute film, Darfox. We don't need a 2-hour movie or a 3-hour movie.
Do we know it's 90? I would love for it to be 90 minutes, but
this is not going to be a fucking ongak, our sound situation. It won't be like still frames for like in 5 minutes of people talking. It's fine. We'll be fine. Are you worried that we're gonna get the Sims models like we did in Blue Giant?
No, I'm worried that they'll just pad the story out and really like make it a lot slower pace than it has to be. Which I guess that's what happened with the Chainsaw Man anime. It's a pretty slow paced anime overall.
Hard to say. But I still look forward to it.
Yep.
Alright, let's move along from Chainsaw Man. Morgana, what shall we talk about next?
Oh, I don't know. Alright, let's go through something truly bizarre and talk about DRCL.
Alright, DRCL, Midnight Children, Volume 2. Darfox was not here when we read Volume 1.
Yes, and not only did I read Volume 2, I read Volume 1.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, good for you.
It was actually kind of easy to read, so.
It is. It's like very visual. So, you read it pretty fast. But you shouldn't. You should look at the pages. They're beautiful. DRCL is Shinichi Sakamoto's retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And instead of it taking place... And actually, I've never read the original book, so I don't know where it takes place.
So the original book takes place partially in Transylvania, Romania, and partially in England. So that part of it, at least, is legit.
I mean, starting on the Demeter, so
with the Demeter, yes. So yeah, that part of the story. So it starts off with oh my god, what's his name? Jonathan Harker going to Dracula's castle to talk about real estate, I think. And then Dracula kind of gets on, I think he traps Jonathan and sails to England on the Demeter. So that's all accurate to the book. There's a lot here that's truly not accurate to the book. We'll get into that.
Yeah, but like Shinichi Sakamoto has now set this in a school, Whitby school, and the characters have mostly been transformed into students there. We have Wilhelmina Murray, aka Mina. Luke Westerna, which is changed from Lucy in the original, Morgana,
yes,
you said?
Yeah, Lucy and Mina are friends in the original.
And Lucy's lover, Arthur. But we've added Quincy Morris, the American from Texas. Joe Sua, the Japanese student. There's Renfield.
There's
dressed
Renfield.
as a nun. And the new professor, Van Helsing. You get to see him in this volume.
I did some light Wikipediaing, and Quincy is in the novel. He's not black, I don't believe.
No, he is a Texan.
Yeah. So they had like the same backstory, except that they're not black. And the Japanese character is also in it, but they're not Japanese.
No, he's a doctor.
Yeah, so they added like some diversity essentially. They made it a little more interesting. And but the same way how he's kind of taking care of Renfield, that they have that same relationship in the book, from what I can tell.
Have y'all seen the Francis Ford Coppola film?
No.
Oh god, you gotta see that film. That's a pretty good adaptation of the book.
Yeah,
like,
I've been meaning to. That's one of those films that's always been really derided for a lot of reasons, but it's always like looked good to me.
It's gorgeous. It's one of my favorite films.
Maybe we'll do a movie machinations on it.
Yeah, let's do it. I would love to watch. It's been a long time.
October extravaganza.
Yes, I love it. Yes. So John Seward, Dr. Seward, is taking care of Renfield. Renfield is quote unquote a lunatic. So he's basically caring for him and observing him, but the like eating spiders thing is in the original Dracula. The nun habit is not. Tell you that right now. The nude teenage boys traipsing around in lace is definitely not. It is worth mentioning, in the original, Lucy Westenra is engaged to Arthur, and I believe they get married. But it is implied that the other men around her, Seward and Quincy Morris, are also in love with her. So she's a very desirable figure. So that aspect of this is also accurate. That Quincy has a thing for her. They haven't really talked about Josua being interested in her, but I would not be surprised, or in Luke. So that's all accurate. And then the relationship between Mina and Lucy is very much one where Mina is trying to protect her friend. Lucy is a little bit, like in the book, I feel like she's a little bit flighty and ditzy. So she kind of needs to be protected a little bit, whereas Mina is very practical and very protective of Lucy. I think I mentioned this last time, but the novel Dracula is what's called an epistolary novel, which means the entire thing is written as letters. So it's letters that Jonathan Harker writes, it's letters that Mina Murray writes, and it's recordings by Dr. Seward about the various things going on. So it's all, and I don't think yeah, it's just those 3 perspectives, I'm pretty sure. It's been a while since I read it, but
I remember you mentioning this when we read volume 1.
yeah, and so that's why, like, when you see, like, Mina typing at the typewriter and, like, Joe, like, talking into the phonogram, that's accurate also to the book. Although, and I want to talk about this, in DRCL, there's I didn't notice it in the first volume, but in the second volume, I feel like you have a sense that Mina is writing a fantasy story, right? Like, she's, like, almost, like, editing, 'cause you'll like, a scene will happen, and then you'll revert to Mina typing on the typewriter, and goes, "That's maybe too much," and then it, like, goes back to the other scene, you know? Like, it's I feel like we're getting, do we have an unreliable narrator here? Like, what is the format of the story is very interesting.
If you remember at the end of volume 1 and we peek into a door and it's Mina and she's like coming at us or something like that, it was like creepy. So I wouldn't be surprised. And then at the end of volume 2, we get to see Quincy doing something in the room. We're spying on him.
Naughty Quincy.
Mm-hmm. Really quickly, I should mention the localization for this, because I can. With Chainsaw Man, we read on the app, so I'm not exactly sure who's translating that. But with the DRCL, it is English translation by Caleb Cook, touch-up art and lettering Brandon Hull, design Cam Lee, editor Andrew Kerr Bartosh. Let's turn to Darfox. Dar, you read volume 1 and volume 2.
Yep.
And we did the I forgot what the fuck we called it, but we did that Mamba Machinations. That's the fucking word.
Yeah.
And we saw the episode on Shinichi Sakamoto when he was like creating the beginning of DRCL. What did you think of DRCL?
It was good. It was really easy to read. I think Mina is a really strong protagonist. They gave her kind of like some shonen type moxie in it, which is really fun because she's like I think in the context of the story of DRCL, she's the first woman in this school. It was like an all boys school, so she's instantly kind of like looked down upon. And on top of that, she's like a ginger and she has like freckles. And this is common sense, but like the art is really good.
That's an understatement
of the century, yeah.
But like
the art is phenomenal.
But like from the very beginning, I believe the first volume opens with Mina running towards a rendezvous where like she was invited for something, but it was a prank and they set a trap and she like falls in a ditch. And it cuts to her in the ditch and she's kind of has like a scrunched up face, kind of wincing because she's probably still in pain and kind of annoyed and embarrassed. And just that facial expression is like a hyper realistic facial expression, and combined with the way the proportions of the face and the freckles, it just almost looks like a photograph. And I know that he uses a lot of like reference and stuff, but that's one of the situations where like I gotta almost see the reference photo through the page. And that's not to say that I think the artist is talentless and they just copied it. What I mean to say is that the artist put so much attention to make these people seem realistic and kind of genuine, that it just makes like everything either hyper attractive or hyper uncomfortable or hyper weird. You know, like it just adds an extra layer. Like if I was like reading a shonen book where somebody was in the confessional beating off, I'd be like, this is embarrassing. But I'm reading it here and I'm like, this is fucking high art. Like this is crazy. his art would elevate like a bad story. But I happen to think this is a pretty good story because the characters work and I want to see more of them, and they have interesting um conflictions, or is that the right way to say that? Interesting, they're conflicted in interesting ways. Um, Almost every character is conflicted in a way. We have the is it Harlow, the kind of like the leader of the
Arthur.
group, Arthur, um, who's very mean and kind of a bully to Mina, but he does thank her and he does like is nice to her sometimes in secret. Um, we have Quincy, who is a lot of messed up in some ways, um, and you wonder about the Japanese character as well, and you know like how they feel about Arthur and everything like that. And then of course the Lucy character is literally like changes gender at night. Or at least that's the way this is portrayed in the book. It's like everybody's two-faced in a way, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing. But I think the whole idea of Dracula and the allure of Dracula, and maybe Count Dracula seducing you and making you succumb to kind of like carnal ideas and thoughts that you have, kind of really plays well for the setup of these characters. It's like fertile ground for Dracula to come in and just wreak havoc, right?
Oh yeah. One of my favorite moments in Volume 2 is Mina in a theater where she basically gets seduced by Michael Jackson. I'm sorry, I mean Dracula.
Yeah, I had the same thought.
Michael Dracula.
There's even a scene where it looks like he's wearing one glove.
Yes.
I was like, come on. We really like Michael Jackson in Japan. I feel like I've seen a lot of Michael Jackson references in Japanese media.
But she's sitting in, like, it looks like seats, and then, like, it cuts back to it after Dracula gazes at her. And she's in, like, the seats have turned into tombstones, and she's literally sitting on her own tombstone, which is bleeding. It's so good.
Yeah, the visual symbolism, and he does this in Innocent too, and we'll get there, but it's there are a lot of layers, and it's just so evocative.
Innocent is good too, but this is, you can tell this is the next work.
Oh yeah,
it's
no,
one
definitely.
level above.
It's like it's way more weird and conceptual. Like Innocent is odd and in a lot of ways, but it is a kind of straightforward story. This is like taking so as a modern reader, when you read Bram Stoker's Dracula or take in like even the old like Bela Lugosi Dracula film, right? It's very hard to be scared because this is something that's very much in the public consciousness. We know who Dracula is. It's not really, and the kinds of things that scare us now, the kinds of scary media we have is like a step above, right, or a step beyond. And I think this adaptation does a really good job of synthesizing the uneasiness that a reader in Bram Stoker's time would have felt reading that book. I mean, it is a horror book. It's a horror novel. I wouldn't call it the first of its kind, but it's one of the first. Like that kind of story, and especially the style that it is very unique. And I think that it would have really astounded people, and I think that this does a really good job of taking the unease and the gothic horror aspect of Dracula and drawing it out so that a modern audience can experience it, even a modern audience that has been kind of jaded, by all the vampire media or other horror media that they've consumed. Because it's weird. It's just really weird, and like I think that's half of what makes it so disturbing, is just like it's beautiful and strange, and everybody is like I know bad things are happening to everybody. Everybody's doing bad things. Helsing is a DILF, and I don't know why. Like it's just such it's weird. It's weird and amazing and unhinged. I mean, truly.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Do it.
I kinda hated reading the actual words.
Interesting.
The way that it's translated in like the language. How like it reads like it's not modern speech.
It's not quite Old English though.
It's like on the verge, but it's like there enough where like it annoyed me. Obviously I want to keep seeing the amazing art, so I kept reading, but like I was like, is this how Seamus felt when he read the beginning of fucking
Oku?
Yeah, Oku.
I read the beginning of Oku, and that's way more Old English.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's difficult.
When we read that finally, it's going to be interesting to see how you feel about it, Dagzu. Because you haven't read the English version, right? You just read Japanese?
Yes.
Yeah, you might maybe just stick to the Japanese then, because
no, I need. But here's the thing: like the Japanese has like a bunch of like vocabulary that it kind of goes over my head when it comes to the,
it's hard to read either way.
The government stuff, and so that's what I need context. Yeah, but it was a minor complaint for me, but like I just reached the point where, especially Van Helsing, how the way he talked, I was like,
right.
Oh God.
Well, because he's Dutch, and
yes.
So he like. Yeah, his whole character is an interesting interpretation of Dr. Van Helsing.
Was Helsing a character in the original book?
Yes. So
was he a vampire hunter?
Not quite. So he's a doctor. He's a, from what I recall, and again it's been a while, he's a medical doctor who is also kind of trained in or open to the idea of the occult. So he knows things about the occult. He's not a vampire hunter per se. It's not like there was a Van Helsing movie where he's like professional vampire hunter,
right, yeah.
Passed down in my family for generations. Yeah, no, it's not really like that. I don't think, if I'm recalling correctly. But he's like a wizened old doctor. And I'm fairly certain in the Francis Ford Coppola movie he's played by Anthony Hopkins. So like,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so like that's your context, right? Like he's like an older guy who is like, here to take care of, so like the blood transfusion that's going down, that happens in the book too. And the men fight over themselves trying to decide who is going to give Lucy the transfusion. Worth mentioning that blood transfusions were very new at the time and unproven. So like blood typing was very, and at the time, I don't know about England, but definitely in the United States, Black people would not have been allowed to give blood to white people. There were weird ideas about mixing blood between races. So
there's some hinted racism happening here against Quincy. Yeah.
Yes, and that is also an interesting thing that was included here, because Quincy offers to give his blood, and Arthur immediately is like, "No, I will." And it's just that he's, Arthur's putting on a brave face or whatever. But I was definitely like, that seems very intentional. Given his race and.
Yeah, I'm slightly conflicted about Quincy specifically, because I like the character on the face, but any amount of making Black characters like sexual deviants or something like that is always like eyebrow raising. Just the history in American media. This is not an American comic book, so I wonder if it's just the adaptation / what the author's doing, not thinking about any optics.
Yeah, and acknowledgement of the optics, but I do want to point out that I wouldn't really call what Quincy's doing sexual deviance. He's a teenage boy who's got a crush, Is it uncomfortable? Is it awkward? Yeah, it sure is. And I again, acknowledging the optics, and yes, I also had some like, I don't know how I feel about this like portrayal necessarily, but I'm also kind of glad we didn't not like expand his character,
Yeah.
which I feel like would be the other option. In the book, Quincy Morris is very much like yeehaw Texan adventure. Very much the idea of what a like Victorian Irishman, aka Bram Stoker, would have thought of Texans at the time. Just like stereotypes all over. He probably wore a cowboy hat. So actually, I feel like this Quincy's toned down a whole lot.
Yeah, and that's a good catch. I'm glad you said that because essentially Quincy is in love with Luke, or thinks that Luke is like absolutely gorgeous, and this is sort of turning into the obsession at times, at least so far. But then again, like you said, like all the characters to a certain extent are obsessed with Luke and Lucy.
Yeah, and frankly, like, okay, in this adaptation, Luke's a babe, I get it. In the book and in like some of the movie adaptations, I'm like, Lucy's such a wet blanket. Why are we all trying to bone her? I don't get it.
Trying to think if there's anything else to mention about this second volume of DRCL. Besides that, it's great. Yeah, I got nothing else. I think we mentioned everything. It's all super good.
I want to mention the 2-page spread I have up. Obviously, like it's really intricate and gorgeous. It's basically a scene where Mina flips some sort of doppelganger of Mina. She does like a hip toss on him, and they explode into bats. And the reason I want to bring it up is that we read a lot of manga, and we read a lot of manga that has like confusing panel layouts sometimes, or like maybe they didn't pull off a 2-page spread the way they wanted to do it. Here, I think that like the erraticness and the confusion is actually intentional, and I guess I'll show off more of the scene than I usually would. This is the page before when Mina grabs the doppelganger by the pigtails and starts flipping them. They're in midair. The next thing we know, the next 2-page spread is bats coming out of the eyes and mouth of somebody, clearly like the doppelganger Mina. And then the rest of the 2-page spread is just a fucking orgasm of bats and different locations, because they were in a room, but now we see like banisters for stairs and like a grand hall. So this is like evoking maybe.
No, Dar. She grabbed her before she stepped in the room and threw her down the hallway against the wall. That's why there's a banisters and stairs.
Okay, that makes more sense, because I thought they were both in the room.
Everybody, it's okay. Darfox just got confused again.
No, okay, but like in the next page,
wow.
In the next page, it's just like all the characters reacting to. It's basically all the characters looking at that page spread and being like, "What the fuck?"
Because the bats are flying into the room now.
Yeah. All right. Do you think I'm criticizing these pages?
No, but like you brought up, like it was confusing. I'm just pointing out, like this is what's happening.
Right.
I can understand why you got concerned, because you're like, why are there banisters in this room? But that's why, because you know she threw the doppelganger outside of the room.
It's very well done.
I do also want to mention before we move on, and we should move on soon. The scene where Mina is being seduced by Dracula, and she's grabbed, and they start dancing, and there's all this like, I mean, sapphic imagery, all this lesbian imagery, all these naked women, all these like, it was just like, I mean, it's Pride, guys. Here we go, gay book number 1. It was, but it's beautiful, and it's really interesting because I think it also kind of implies, and I mean, Mina has implied it elsewise, that her feelings for Lucy are more than friendship, but because Luke and Lucy are the same, and Lucy is, transgender, essentially, kind of. Um, the female bodies are not necessarily relevant. But I thought it was interesting that was included, and kind of the implications it has about Mina's sexuality and her. She wasn't being seduced by Dracula the man, she was being seduced by Dracula the concept, right? Or what Dracula was able to pull out of her, subconscious in order to kind of seduce her.
It's implied that she's bitten now, right? She's felt the touch of Dracula.
Yeah, it's implied that something's going on.
Because she runs by, she's carrying the basket of garlic flowers, and she's sneezing, and then she runs by the mirror, and she's not in it.
Yeah.
It's good. This book is really good. People should read it. Let us move along to the other Shinichi Sakamoto book we read. Omnibus Collection 2 of Innocent, which is volumes 4 through 6. This Innocent is put out by Dark Horse Comics. Translator Michael Gombos. Is there a... Do they not have a letter credit here?
Yeah, not a whole lot of credits at the back either.
Lettering and retouch, Susie Lee and Studio Cutie. So there you go. Well, yeah, we continue our journey with Charles Henry Sansel, gentleman of Paris, the executioner of the Sanson family. But now we are this book. These volumes mostly focus on Marie Joseph, Charles's younger sister.
Marie Joseph's hair is my favorite character. So much so that I'm like 99% sure that after this, I'm going to take a shower and shave the sides of my head, because I've been thinking about it for a long time. I have had a mohawk in the past. I've been thinking about it. And this was just like, oh, I just got to fucking do it. She's 11, you guys. She's too cool.
Yeah. It's hard to remember she's 11, like during after like that first time skip. Like it's not that big of a time skip.
Yeah, Dark Fox, did you finish all 3 volumes of this?
Yes.
Wow. Last time you did not, so yeah, good job, Dar.
Yes, I read a lot of manga, and I read it all very quickly.
Well, yeah. So, at the end of the first omnibus, Charles has to do a drawn and quartering of poor Damien, who attacked the king. And a lot of that first volume is dedicated to this drawn and quartering execution.
I feel like pretty much all of it was.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much about how to break bodies.
Yeah.
It's not really the education I was looking for, but here we are.
Shinichi Sakamoto is here to show you twisted ropes or bones, X-ray shots of bones shattering.
Okay, content warning if you're watching the stream.
What are you putting up?
The bone breaking. I have that ready.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Don't show Damien. Because poor Damien.
Yes, I will say I was expecting worse visuals than we got. I think I've gotten to expect a certain amount of gruesomeness from this series, so it was okay. It was better than I thought it was gonna be. It was terrible. Let me be clear. I never want to see somebody actually drawn and quartered. But the visuals were not as disturbing as I feared.
I think the Marie's perspective makes it or their imagination makes it really horrifying with the comparison that's seen on this page spread with the glass working and the stretching of the glass.
Yes, yeah. Really, again, really interesting symbolism and visuals used.
I mean, there was a lot of that here. Like later on, when it's like revealed that Marie becomes an executioner, and then like does the execution of that one officer, forget his name, Griffith.
Yeah.
And Griffin like, what is the term? Just fucking had sex with her.
He raped her.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. She was 9.
But she's represented as a doll in those scenes.
I actually thought that was very clever. A really, really clever way to show really difficult material without being explicit and showing a child in that position.
They do show the doll shattering from the crotch.
Yes. But I think, you know what's happening, and you don't have to see. You know exactly what's happening, and you don't need to see the explicit, because there's other explicit sex in this book. But that is not, that is very much not. Yeah, you know what's happening, but it's. I thought it was an interesting way of dealing with the issue. I also think it's really interesting, and I kind of want to talk about how the female characters, of which there are very few, and the male characters derive different kinds of power from sex. Because I think that's a really big theme here.
Yes.
Charles's grandmother, she very much felt like she was, as a woman, she had no position, right? So she had to become a wife and a mother in order to gain any power, right? And she is very much on Marie's ass because she's like, you're a woman, you can't do these things, that's not appropriate. And you can't help but think like maybe she's just a little jealous because she didn't have the guts to speak up when she was younger, Yeah.
I mean, you see the grandmother when she was young having sex with her husband for the first time. It's literally represented by a wolf.
Yeah.
Climbing into her and then tearing out of her.
Yeah. But through that, and that's, obviously she did not have a good experience. But through that, she gains power that she did not have, right? She gains some kind of matriarchal power. Marie, through the abuse of her body, gains her job, gains the executioner position, right? She, it's, again, an awful experience for her, but one through which that is the only means for her to gain power, right? Madame du Barry, or the woman who will become Madame du Barry, is constantly being sexually assaulted is not the word. She's being propositioned by men who should know better, right? And that is and until eventually she realized this is her power. This is the thing that she can
God has imparted upon me the talent of pleasuring men.
Yes. So this is the talent that she can use. Sidebar: I was extraordinarily surprised to see Charles having sex with a woman.
Yeah, it seems like he's had all this attraction to like all these male characters.
Which,
But even when he has sex, it looks like, he is, how did you describe him last time? The goth twink of your dreams.
Yes. Yeah, but then he also, so flipping that coin and talking about how men are using sex here, this very much becomes his sexual awakening, gives him some kind of feeling of authority that he didn't have before, kind of a confidence that he didn't have before. Don't love that for him. Not that I understand his position, and I understand the constraints around which he was putting Marie, right? Like she acted out, she did something rash, right, when she was trying to execute Griffin. But Charles is like my favorite type of male character, and Marie is my favorite type of female character. So this
now
is
they're like at each other. What will you do, Morgana?
I know. No, Marie was my hero, honestly, in this volume. She's amazing. And you know, so there's the part where she has a second chance to perform an execution. She does a phenomenal job of the beheading of the statue, however it's called.
The standing beheading.
Yeah, she does a fantastic job, and Charles is like, how did you get him to stand? How did you get him to like do this? How was it so successful? And she was like, I just fucking lied to him and told him I loved him. And he was like, how could you do such a dishonorable thing? And I'm like, dude, he fucking deserved it. Like, he was an ass. And you know, there's the part of me, the real idealistic part of me that agrees with Charles. You should know, you know, execution is terrible, capital punishment is wrong, and you should always respect the dying, right? But there's also the part of me that's a girl, that's a woman who's like, men fucking suck, and whatever you have to do to get them out of your hair, just do it.
Yeah, Dar, what do you think?
I thought men fucking suck, and whatever you gotta do to get them out of your hair, no. Yeah, I also felt that kind of confliction where I can't in good conscience criticize Marie, even though she just like was hacking this dude in public and kind of causing a scene. So like it's an interesting conflict between the two main characters where you do kind of see both your sides, but you know, Marie, you know, definitely feels more like the hero of the story at this point.
Yeah, like as an older sibling myself, I mean, Charles knew what Griffin did to his sister. Like, I would have done that to him. Like, I would have hacked him to pieces if I was her older brother. You know what I mean? Like, I would have been furious if somebody had done that to my sister. So his like kind of limp-wristed like response to it, like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, that's how son blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, like, I understand you're the head, whatever, but also like, look at this from the perspective of her brother as well as, you know, head executioner. Like, what, like, come on, do you blame her? Why did you let her do this to begin with if you knew it was going to be a problem, right? Like,
refresh my memory with the motivations. Charles basically said, in for a penny, in for a pound, I need to like gain more power so that I can have the power to change and stop executions. Is his whole perspective, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't quite exactly. They kind
of goes with nobles and ideals, and Marie is much more like, no, this just needs to fucking happen because it's all bad.
Well, but
also the system sucks. So fuck the system. She's a rebel.
But the conflicted part about it is that he's being less true to himself by like trying to work within the system, and he is basically going against his own ideals. And you could potentially perceive Marie as a little twisted sometimes, but she's being very honest and direct, and
yes,
not obfuscating anything. So that's the yin and yang of them.
Yep.
Which is neat.
What do y'all think about the fact that there was actually a room in the Sansone mansion that Charles's father had that was just like a bunch of crosses for every person he killed?
I think that makes sense. Did you guys read the back matter?
No.
I
was going to, and then I was like, nah.
There's a lot of it.
It's quite a bit, yeah. It's
a lot.
It's kind of impressive. I don't know. I was gonna say it's more than I expect from Dark Horse, but I don't know if they do extensive back matter
I don't remember this being at the end of the first omnibus.
No, so this stuff talked about kind of the history of the Sanson family and drew from. It may have been in the original Japanese books. I don't know, because a lot of it was drawing from a Japanese author who wrote I believe, a biography of Charles Henri. But it talked about the family. And what was really interesting is that it was understood in there's not a whole lot about the family, but what historical record there is, it like all of the male heads of house, all of the Monsieur de Paris, the head executioners from each generation, were extremely kind, honorable individuals. Even like Charles Henri's father, Jean-Baptiste, in real history, not the character in the book, but the real historical figure, was also known as being a very gentle and kind and courteous gentleman. So it's really fascinating how Sakamoto kind of changed a little bit of the characters' personalities in order to dramatize this. Actually, Charles's grandmother also is supposed to be a very kind woman. So that's fascinating.
She is not here.
No, not at all. But you can see why he needed to add the drama. But so what's really interesting, there was I believe it was the first generation head of house. He, in his, he I think he had a psychotic break or a mental breakdown, and they said, like, it's normal human guilt. Like, he felt guilty. He killed a whole bunch of people. You don't get over that. Like, you just because you're an executioner doesn't mean you don't have normal human responses to what you're doing, right? So so it does and it doesn't surprise me that Jean-Baptiste would have had the chapel there. I think that it's a shitty job, It's a job somebody had to do because it was like a state position, like an official position, but like fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of fucking sucks, Marie's catchphrase, "This sucks."
Great.
I just love that she talks like a teenager, like she'll be 12 soon in the context of these volumes, and she just talks like a normal teenager, not like a fancy, Baroque French teenager.
It's great. They introduce a lot of characters in this omnibus. Like what is it? Louis the 15th.
Mm-hmm. And the 16th too,
And the
I think.
16th, yeah. And then Marie Antoinette as well.
And Mozart.
Guys, I regret to inform you that Shinichi Sakamoto has joined the shit list.
Oh no. Was there a music that I ignored completely?
Yes, Morgana. There's a musical thing you ignore completely. When they're doing the drawn and quartering part, when they finally get it working, after Marie suggests cutting the tendons, they show like Charles playing the violin, and they're like, Johann Sebastian Bach's Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring. And they put fucking sheet music up. It's not the fucking song! Why the fuck would you do that? Okay? That song is very iconic. Even Darfox have heard of it. Okay?
Not by name. Oh yeah, it's an Evangelion song. Yeah.
Yes, Evangelion song. Sure.
You've probably
that song
seen it on
is
Looney
in
Tunes.
9/8. That fucking sheet music. Do you know what it says? 5/4. And like, it's very. I can look at that song and know that is not the fucking melody of Jesu Joy Man's Desire. Why the fuck? There's the fucking page with it on like 4 times. It's the same fucking sheet music, and it's fucking wrong. And it's supposed to represent like his limbs being like torn off as the strings of the violin break. And I'm like, bro. Why didn't you use the actual music? Why?
It's not like it's hard to find, I imagine.
It's not.
Did you recognize what it was?
It says Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring. What, the fake one?
Yeah, the fake one.
I don't know what the fake one is, but it's not the da 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 da. Oh my god. I must have forgotten when I read this in Japanese that like that happened, or not paid as attention to it and ignored it.
Out.
Like, yeah, like Morgana said. But when I was reading this English edition, there's literally page 115 of this Omnibus 2. It's just like it's 4 panels of the same fucking thing, and none of them are Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring by Bach. So I was like, fucking shit. Shinichi Sakamoto, why'd you do this?
Let's just blame it on an assistant. I mean, I don't know what else his assistants do. When we watched that Manben, he was doing fucking everything on his own. They just stand there and pose, I think.
Whoever was in charge was in fucking doing their job. Whether it's Shinichi Sakamoto, assistants, editor, I don't care. And whoever's the historian, this should be an easy find. Not whatever the fuck this is. Oh, it's not even in 5.4. It's in 6.4. What the fuck? Fuck off. I will say in hashtag DRCL, there's a scene in Volume 2 where they're singing in the choir, and it's the Lord's Prayer. And I was like, oh, that's actually the Lord's fucking prayer. Good job. Also, this music isn't even fucking violin music. It's fucking piano music. Why did you put sheet music for piano music when he's playing the fucking violin?
Oh, no.
That was like the Neil deGrasse Tyson of music.
Doc, is it when you take some deep breaths and count to 10?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I got too upset.
I'm gonna practice my like gentle parenting skills on you. Okay, honey, I think we need to take some deep breaths. Can you just breathe with me?
Okay. That's it. I don't need to mention it again.
The acid's out of your brain.
Yep. I just saw that and I was like, oh.
I don't know why I should have. I don't know why I didn't even think of dogs when I saw sheet music. I was like, oh, sheet music, neat.
Because you don't have the curse I do.
Yeah.
I love this 2-page spread that you have up right now, Dar.
Yes.
Where she's like cut off his head and he's like, you cut my head now. And she's like, I did. It's very like anime.
Yeah, it's very kind of like I said, it's anime trope, but like again, when he does this kind of art.
Oh yeah, and also like I'm looking at her, I'm like, yeah, you could kill me, that's fine. Her hair is so good. How do I get my hair to look like that, guys? It's almost as long. There's got to be a way.
Like it's long in the back and it's curled all the way. Remember how Shinichi Sakamoto has like a whole folder and his computer on his like tablet with like nothing but hair? Totally
I need to talk to her hairdresser.
Just taking the manga to the hairdresser.
You know, I said to my husband, I was like, do you think if I brought this to a hairdresser, they would do this for me? And he was like, yeah, and they'd charge you a fuck ton of money to do it. And he's right, and I would never be able to replicate it. That's really but I've been thinking about my hair's long and it's very, very thick, and it's summer right now, which means I'm hot all the time.
It is very hot right now.
So I've been thinking about shaving the sides of my head again forever. And now I feel like Marie Joseph is the badass girl inspiration I need. He really, Shinichi Sakamoto really likes like tough girls, like girls with grit. I feel like Mina's kind of got some edge to her too. Like she's not Marie Joseph like level of intensity, but there's definitely some, some badass. Yeah.
What's her catchphrase? Catch on, catch.
Catches, catch can.
Catches, catch can. It's a kind of wrestling.
Yes, Seamus knew about it. Because of course he did. Alright, is there anything else to say about Innocent? Because we've been recording for a while.
It's quite good.
And I used up all my energy ranting about sheet music. I think the original, like, there's 10 volumes of Innocent, and then there's the second series, Instant Rouge.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I hope Dark Horse does it. So, also, does that mean the next omnibus is going to be 4 volumes or just 2? Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know if it's been solicited yet.
I don't know. We gotta find out. All right, let's end. Oh wait, it's on Dark Horse. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
7 through 9 of the original Japanese manga series.
Interesting.
Oh, it was only 9 volumes. I was wrong, Morgana.
Oh, all right. Well, then that makes sense, I guess.
Let's see, and then Innocent Rouge is 12 volumes. I wonder if this is selling well. I hope it is.
So I see the numbers for these. I can't give you the numbers. But if I recall, it's doing pretty decently. It's not like...
It's no Berserk.
It's no Berserk, it's no Chainsaw Man or Jujutsu Kaisen. But if I recall correctly, I was really pleased to see that it was holding its own. I think this is really appealing to a Western audience. It's a very Western story, France. It's really punk rock. I mean, Shinichi Sakamoto's like his sense of art and style is just really rock and roll, like really cool. Everybody looks amazing. I think that's very appealing to Western audiences. And like I said, DRCL is nominated for an Eisner, so good all around. I hope that it all does well. And we didn't mention this, but his fucking mountain climbing manga was licensed.
Oh yeah, who's licensing that?
Viz.
That's wild.
I'm excited. 2025, I think.
We'll definitely have to read it, and you'll have to give me your opinion of how his art has evolved, because that's his pre-digital days.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, that first volume looks fucking very, I guess, not Shinichi Sakamoto.
Interesting.
That's the best way I can describe it.
I'm looking forward to it. In like a year.
Okay, so that was our Twipple Dip. Do you three have a... Wait, not three. Do you two have a favorite out of what we read?
DRCL, I think.
Innocent
had that cheap music thing. I can't forgive it.
Sorry, it also had really fucking cool hair. And lots of like sad boys and Christian imagery. I'm a sucker for that shit. I also really, really love DRCL, but I mean they're both incredible.
They are. Chainsaw Man clearly at the bottom.
Sorry, Fujimoto, not this time.
It is what it is.
Chainsaw Man, we had like a potluck, and everybody brought like an awesome dish, and Chainsaw Man brought like Doritos. That's what happened.
No, he didn't bring Doritos. It's not even Doritos. It's like the knockoff Doritos.
Greater value tortilla chips.
Yes, cheese tortilla chips.
I will say, even if Chainsaw Man was up to its usual par, I would probably still prefer the Shinichi Sakamoto manga, both of them, over Chainsaw Man. But that's because of who I am as a person.
That's not surprising, yeah.
Well, there you go. That was our Twipple Dip. It's time to end this episode. I want to thank Darfox and Morgana for joining me this week. Remember, next week we will be watching the BL Metamorphosis live-action adaptation movie. Stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed Manga Machinations, make sure to support us, review us, rate us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you find us. Buy us a coffee to support us. ko-fi.com/mangamac. Our website is mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. We have youtube.com/mangamactv and also Mangamac Watches. Come join our Discord group, discord.me/mangamac. We still play Mahjong every Monday. You can send us emails at mangamachinations@gmail.com. Follow us on social media at Mangamac Podcast. That's for Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, everything else. And you can follow my social media at DocZoo, follow Darfox at Darfox8, and follow Morgana at Morgana Relina. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye-bye.